Tuzi is a addict. Everybody knows that he likes to climb in his attic and get his stuff. Everybody knows that he's really, really buff.
I'm really buff and I'm really rough around the edges. My name is Tuzi and I just trim your fucking hedges. Yeah, freestyle on the beat. Yeah, I got my mate Mike next to me. Yeah, we're just freestyling every day. Yeah, we do the shit cause we're not lame. Yeah, we're just crazy on the mic. Yeah.
Crazy on the mic.
Yeah.
Crazy on the mic. Gonna ride my bike to the crib. Ride it to the crib, then put on my bib. And then eat some food. I eat real messy when I'm in the mood.
Yeah.
Because I'm hungry. I'm really, really hungry. Everybody knows that I like that country called Hungary.
Hungry country.
Hungry country. They make great food over there.
Over there.
Something stinks, mate. Something stinks.
Welcome to the Skunk Take podcast. Roll the intro.
All right. So, back for another episode. Episode 7, I believe. 7 or 8. Not even sure. At this point, we're losing count, but we haven't filmed a podcast in 5 days. So
yeah, it's been a minute.
We may be a little bit rusty. We have not been following the schedule
at all.
So that's not good. But
getting busy is a good problem.
Getting busy is a good problem. It is a good problem. I think today we have a question from another one of our viewers. Just a quick reminder to everyone. If you have a question for us, send it through to the Skunk Take podcast on Instagram. We answer pretty much every question that we get sent. So
ideally send it through in a voice memo format so we can just pop it into here. Saves a bit of time on editing, which would still probably be the easiest thing.
The interaction's great as well. So send through a voice message. If you have any questions, it can be about anything. You heard the last few episodes. We've had some warped questions.
Some very strange questions.
Very warped questions.
Yeah.
So definitely anything's fair game here at the Skunk Take. So send them through.
We're not shy.
We are not shy. So I think...
Although if it is too warped, we'll probably end up changing the topic very early on and run with the change topic.
No, we won't. We'll talk about it. Anyways, do we have the question?
We do have the question.
Let's hear it.
This question comes from our good friend, Alex.
G'day, Mike and Tuzi. Was wondering what your take on how alcohol and nicotine is legal, with quite a lot of negatives, while illicit drugs are illegal, with such more benefits than negatives.
Right.
How do you feel about this?
Right. So what's our take on alcohol and cigarettes
being legal and other drugs being illegal?
Yeah. That's a great question. Let's start off with that. That's a great question.
Solid question.
I think it's a bit strange that some drugs are still illegal, to this day, when there's like health benefits to like some of the, illicit drugs on the list.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, not all of them. I think quite a few people can distinguish between like what like an okay drug is compared to like something that's just going to fucking ruin your life. You know what I mean? But let's just use weed, for example. Like there's a lot of pain relief properties with weed. You know what I mean? And another, like the other side to that is like, it's almost like they're saying that tobacco and alcohol can do no wrong.
Right.
Which I don't think is the case. I think a lot of deaths or injuries come from, tobacco and alcohol, right? You think about all the drunk drivers, you think about all the fights that are, just because someone's hammering off their head. But then you think about, lung cancer, all these other health conditions through smoking. And it's like, it's pretty strange.
Yeah. I think that just going back to your point before, I don't know if everyone has like the same definition of what's like going to ruin your life and what won't. Because some people see, maybe not like, I think weed is more so demonized just from a moral standpoint for a lot of people. But if you look at like this studies and research, like weed is like quite good. Like for health benefits wise and all that kind of stuff. And it's a lot more mild compared to the effects of alcohol.
Yeah, 100%.
It typically mellows a lot of people down.
Yeah,
obviously
100%.
It varies from person to person.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, some people would think that stuff like LSD or MDMA is like not okay. right? We've heard stories. Like we've heard a story of some guy at a festival one of our mates went to.
Yeah.
Yeah, he like took a bunch, and I think he's pretty much like
He's like in a vegetative state now.
Yeah,
Yeah. Because
exactly.
yeah.
So, so I think that different people will have different levels of what they think is okay.
Well, do you think, because here's something I just kind of thought of, do you think, let's just talk in this like just specifically marijuana, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the younger generation is becoming more accepting of it, and kind of our perception of, oh, it's a bad thing is based on like, you know, the older generation?
Yeah, I think it's just the old policies and marketing and media spin about marijuana in the past.
So do you reckon in like 15, 20 years, with all these kind of younger generation people, you know, leading the future, do you reckon potentially something like marijuana could just be like a worldwide legalized kind of thing?
I don't know about worldwide, but definitely in the West, I think we're like 10 years away from it being like fully legal everywhere, honestly. It's not like the research has shown it's beneficial. Obviously, anything in excess isn't good.
Of course,
But yeah, I think people who demonize it for whatever reason, they're not looking at it from like a logical point of view. Like it helps with pain relief in a way that like, so like in the NBA and the NFL, especially like both sports, they're different. Like obviously the NFL, you're getting hit really hard and you're getting like really injured. Whereas the NBA, they're playing 80 games a year. So they're playing like, you know, sometimes they're playing back-to-back games, going like 100%.
Yeah.
So their joints get sore. In the NFL, you're getting hit. So you're just sore from just getting hit by like a 100-kilo man.
Yeah.
Athletes from both of those sports, because it's legal in some states in America, they smoke weed, and they talk about how they smoke weed and it helps with the pain post game, especially in the NFL, where if they weren't taking that, they would be on opioids.
Right.
So like really strong painkillers.
Yeah.
And it's actually like quite I don't know, like an epidemic where players, after they retire, especially from the NFL, they have like lifelong pain just from like there's
a lot of impact.
The damage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
a lot of impact, like playing that game.
And weed is like the one thing that like helps with the pain, isn't addictive where they're like, you know,
I guess it's addictive in the sense of like if you have an addictive personality and you're addicted to like the feeling, but weed within itself has no addictive.
But yeah,
properties.
you won't get withdrawals. Yeah. Oh, you might get like, I don't know if, I'm sure you get withdrawals from everything, but the withdrawals aren't on the level of opioids where you're like, you know, like legit like crawling on the ground and all that kind of stuff.
That's crazy that like the only other alternative to pain relief is like opioid and like an opioid based drug, right?
Yeah. And I think, I don't know if that's the category that I would say is like probably the least safe to use, opioids, just because they are so dangerous. They're so addictive and people become like, yes, you can become reliant on weed, but it's like apples and oranges. Like if you become reliant on opioids, like your life is going to be miserable.
Yeah. You have a significantly lower quality of life if you're addicted to opioids than if you're addicted to weed.
Yeah.
But then that's subjective as well. That's like a quite generalizing statement. So that's pretty subjective too.
Yeah. But like, what would you say should be legal?
Well, I think me personally, like weed 100%. I think we could both agree on that. But I also think like psychedelic drugs to an extent. Just because it's not really like I think with psychedelics, they're not really like, it's more so for like the experience. You know what I mean?
Do you think it should be?
Now, it shouldn't be like, you know, passing it out over the counter and stuff like that. I think it should definitely be regulated. But that being said, like it helps people find themselves, to my understanding. I've never done any kind of psychedelics or anything like that, but you hear a lot of people that take would it be like methamphetamines?
No, it'd be like mushrooms.
No, but like cocaine, right?
Right.
Would that be like a methamphetamine? Is that what it would come up as a drug test? I'm not too sure.
I don't know.
But you hear people that take more so drugs like that, or just like drugs similar to like, like codeine and stuff like that, similar to like opioids. You know what I'm saying? Oh, no, I'd never fuck with the psychedelic shit because I don't want to lose my mind. So that's definitely like another thing because you can like fall into psychosis. You know what I mean? If the wrong person gets it, like they could, get into psychosis and then they're fucked.
I think that's the dangerous part of it. Like with a lot of these drugs, it's like, I'm sure for a large majority of people, it'd be, a relative, especially if it's in like a safe environment, it'd be like a safe experience. But
maybe if they did some kind of like screening, you know what I mean?
But it's hard to tell. Like, even with weed, I know that one of your mates had like a bad experience with that.
Yeah.
And like,
I'm sure there's plenty of people out there. Like, you always hear people talk about like paranoia and stuff like that. Oh, I get Paz, bro. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And I think that like with a lot of these drugs, it's like, it's hard to tell how you'll react to it. Whereas with something like alcohol and tobacco, they're not, like no one's going to go into psychosis. But I guess with alcohol, if you abuse it, just like with any drug, you can become like,
but the thing is, right?
A drunken addict.
Like, like people like, some people are real lovey-dovey when they get like hammered. Yeah. Some people get very violent. You know what I mean? So in that sense, like you don't really know what kind of effect because it's all just dependent on the person, right? Yeah.
But I don't know, with the whole psychedelics thing, like I was watching this documentary about this YouTuber. You probably know him, Connor Murphy.
Connor Murphy, yeah. Dude, that's crazy, bro. That's
like, if you guys haven't heard about it, there's like plenty of videos about him, but pretty much like to summarize, he used to be like kind of like a bodybuilder type of guy. He was in really great shape, and then he
did all these pranks. Like, a massive YouTube channel was blown up. Like,
he'd do the pranks where he'd dress up as like a nerd, and he'd like ask girls if they would date him, and then he'd take his shirt off, like that kind of guy. Anyway, so he made all those videos, and I think during COVID, when people couldn't make videos, I think that's when he started doing a lot of like psychedelic drugs. And he pretty much just like lost his mind.
Yeah, he did like DMT and he just like went full psychosis.
Full went like completely insane. Like, that, like he was like, there was an instance, I think it was on his Twitter, he posted literally his credit card details.
Bruh.
And he just like got his account drained. He didn't even care. Like he was just like, he lost it.
Yeah.
Now, not everyone has that, effect.
Yeah.
But like, that's a pretty bad return on risk and return
on investment. Yeah.
Like I don't even want that to be like a possibility.
Yeah, true.
When I'm doing anything.
But like, I guess these people, they don't really, like someone's fucking tripping out on shrooms or like LSD. They don't really attacking anyone. You know what I mean? They're just in their own fucking world.
Right? Yeah.
Whereas like if someone starts fucking railing meth, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think meth is definitely in its own category.
Because my understanding, meth takes away your moral compass, and like it helps you focus heaps, right? So I was watching this video about this guy. I can't remember the name of his channel, but he was talking about like he had a period where he was doing meth, and he sat in his room for a week, with his calculus textbook, and he learned it back to front.
Wow!
And he's like fully focused. Like didn't eat, didn't like sleep, didn't fucking do shit. Like learned this calculus book back to front. But he was saying, he's like, I started realizing when it became a problem, like if I would be driving and someone would beat me, like horn, he's like, because there's no moral compass, you see nothing wrong with getting out and taking that person's life because they beeped you. Like there's absolutely nothing wrong. So that's kind of fucked up, right? Like that's fucking scary.
100%.
But I think if they could find a way to regulate, I don't have any answers on how they'd go about doing it. But I think some party drugs like MDMA, like if it's pure stuff, to my understanding, like if it's good MDMA, if it's not cut with anything, there's pretty much like you could probably OD.
Yeah, that's what that guy was.
What that guy did.
Festival,
but that stuff could have been, God knows what he could have taken.
I think he just took too much.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I think like if it's regulated, like within reason, as like a party drug, it's like if you like go, because it's pretty big, like MDMA and shit like that. It's pretty big in like the party scene and like the festival scene and stuff like that. Like, in my opinion, if you go to a festival and you've paid, $300 for a ticket,
Right.
and it's like, and you could take something to make that experience worth every cent of that $300, I reckon I'm all for it within regulation.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of in the camp that I see both sides, whereas like I think everything should be legal and regulated because a lot of the reasons why people die is because stuff is tainted.
Yeah.
When it comes to drugs.
100%.
Now, the other side of that argument is if it's legalized, then it's going to be like more prevalent. And then like, I think we've spoken about it before where with alcohol, most of the population drinks alcohol.
Yeah.
Like the adult population. It'd be a huge majority. And how many like, I guess like full on drunks do you see within society? Not that many. Like most people can kind of like keep it in, within a certain range. Whereas like how many people currently are like taking, different types of drugs, right? And versus how many like on that really bad end of the spectrum. I think the number of people who have bad reactions compared to alcohol is minuscule compared to how many people have bad reactions compared to like a lot of other drugs.
Right.
Weed being the exception. I think that should be like totally legalized.
You look at how many deaths there are because of drink driving.
But like how much of the population is taking drugs and then driving? I feel like even people who are taking MD and stuff now, they're smart enough to be like, all right, I'm just going to stay at home and do this, or I'm going to just be at this festival and do this. I'm not going to go out and drive. Whereas because alcohol is like infinitely times more like freely available, everyone can kind of do it. And like tons of guys have like the hero mentality of like, oh yeah, I'm a big tough guy. I'm just going to drive home. Right.
Yeah. Like that being said, like,
mate, that's a good point. If you're cooked out of your mind on MD, you think that's safer than driving drunk? I feel like I'd trust a drunk driver more than I would someone who's like high off their ass.
Yeah, but I'm saying like that stuff's still accessible, and you hardly ever hear anything about like, drunk drivers.
I just think it's less of like a.
You think if it was legalized, it'd be more?
I don't know if people would drive and do it. Like, I don't know if that's. But yeah, I mean, like, drunk driving, there is a lot of deaths, but it's not that many. Compared, like, I'm just looking at the pure numbers here. Like, how many people drink, like, in Australia? It'd probably be like, there's probably like 10, 15 million adults. It'd be like at least 9 million adults drink, right?
It'd be a higher percentage of drinkers than non-drinkers.
There'd be like 9 million, roughly. How many people die on the roads because of drunk drivers? It'd be like a few hundred, right? How many people do like party drugs at a festival? Granted, the whole like, tainted batches and all that kind of stuff. But how many people like maybe not die, but like go into like psychosis or, like that guy, a vegetative state. Like what's the ratio there? So I don't know the numbers, so I can't speak, but I kind of am assuming. But yeah, I think that if it is legalized, and like I said, I am in the camp of everything should be legalized and regulated and taxed. If you're taking like MD or whatever, right? Like because there is a higher amount of risk associated with like that, it should be taxed accordingly, right? It's like the whole cigarette thing. In Australia, cigarettes are taxed out the arse because expensive. Of the whole like, it's, the people who are smoking will may eventually get lung cancer or whatever, and therefore they need to pay that additional tax to alleviate the pressure that they're putting on the healthcare system. Yeah. So I think that the same kind of approach should be taken with drugs, regulated to that level. Now, I do think that like opioids should not be legal. Wow. They're just too crazy, man.
Right.
They're too addictive. Like,
so you think the substance that actually is legal now shouldn't be?
like opioids, that's in the same family as like heroin and stuff. But some of them,
right, in that sense. Right.
some of them are even crazy,
okay,
like fentanyl, which is legal,
that's
like
fucking scary.
and like that is like even worse. There's stuff that's worse than fentanyl. It's like I don't even understand why that is legal because the margin of error for that, like forget about like MD and stuff. Like the margin of error for fentanyl, if you're putting like a gram extra, you kill someone.
Yeah, did you see that cop?
No, I didn't.
This cop was making this arrest on this dude's car or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And the guy they were arresting pulls out a bag of fentanyl, slaps him across the face with it.
Damn.
Dude starts fucking drops to the ground and starts fucking seizuring out.
Far out.
Like took a crazy dose. I think he survived, but
Okay.
it's a crazy video because it's his body cam footage.
Yeah.
Of the dude that got hit, and he's like wigging the fuck out.
No, I know there's things that like, I think it's called Narcan or something like that. It's like you can take it to counteract the effects of opioids.
Right.
But like, we don't want to get to that level where like everyone has to have that somewhere because people are like off their heads. Like,
I mean, there's some fucking crazy drugs out there.
It is crazy.
That just like should not ever see the light of it. Like in Colombia, they have that like dragon's breath or some shit. I don't know if you've heard of that.
No.
They've got this drug and it comes derived from a plant.
Mm-hmm.
And or it's like devil's breath or some shit. I don't know. What they do, these like criminals, they'll get it in this powder form, so they process it and shit like that. They get it in its powder form, and they'll like walk around with newspapers, to like tourists or something like that, and they'll call a tourist over asking for help or they'll bring him over, and they'll have it in a newspaper and they'll just throw it into the air, and like tourists or whoever the target is will like inhale it. And they lose complete sense of, like, saying no.
Right.
So they'll take them back to their apartment. They'll say, hey, let's go back to your apartment. They agree to it completely. You wouldn't even know if someone's on it, right? You go to their apartment, loot their apartment, and then they black out and they don't remember anything prior. They only remember waking up and from, like, when they passed out or when they... So that's fucking horrifying.
Yeah. I don't know. The whole drug thing is like such like a complex issue.
It is, yeah.
It's part of it's like...
Because then you have the argument of like, yeah, but weed's legal. Why can't this be legal? Like if weed would become legalized, you know what I mean?
I think drugs that show a benefit should be legal. Like I don't know. I'm in the camp that everything should be safe and regulated. But at the same time, I also like...
It'd be so hard to do that.
Highly agree with like, okay, let's just legalize drugs that have research that shows a positive benefit.
I like that. Yeah. I probably
legalizing everything would be safer.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know how many deaths it would really limit because like not that many people die from drugs because not that many people are doing drugs that are like that deadly. So you know what? I'm going to lean more towards let's legalize everything that shows a positive benefit. So stuff like LSD, if it's like microdosing or whatever, it should be a prescription-based drug that like people prescribe to psychiatric patients.
Yeah.
But
you don't think it should be in the camp of like experience? Like if someone wants to experience,
if it's proven, if it's in safe quantities, and I don't know how they would regulate that. They can't even regulate that with alcohol.
Yeah.
Then I think it's fine. But it's just like people are really dumb, man.
Yeah.
Most
people like to overdo shit.
People think they're tougher than they are. And they like to just go ham on it. And I'm part of that sometimes, not with drugs and stuff, but like I think I'm more capable of stuff than I actually am.
Yeah.
So I definitely can empathize with that feeling. But yeah, people are dumb, man. And if you see the government legalize MD and then a kid goes to a festival, ODs on it, their parents are blaming the government and every other parent is blaming the government.
They're taking lawsuits out and shit, yeah.
And then that as soon as it's legalized, it's probably going to be criminalized again.
Yeah, legit.
So, like,
but it's fucking crazy to think about, like, because they've had alcohol around for a while, and they've had it around since a time where cocaine was legal and like prescribed.
Yeah.
So, like,
I don't know. Alcohol's such a funny one, you know.
If little Timmy's feeling a little fucking sleepy, go to fucking the doctor, get a cocaine prescription. Go down with mom. Mom, can I get some cocaine? It's
I think I don't know. Alcohol is like so widely available and widely discussed.
They used to put in
and,
Coca-Cola.
Coke,
Yeah.
cocaine, yeah. But even alcohol, like it's everywhere. It's on TV, like
Yeah.
literally every social event. Most people have like a wine or a beer in their hands. Like it's just hard to shake that, despite the negative benefits, the negative kind of impacts.
Do you reckon chemists or like pharmacies should have, should offer testing services
For
without
certain drugs,
without criminalization?
I think they should. Like, look, if people are already getting the drugs, right, you can't stop that. May as well let them buy like testing kits. I think they should let them buy testing kits. I don't know if we should like, so they can do it anonymously.
Hire
and stuff
someone.
like,
You hire someone.
yeah,
to
I don't know
test
about that
drugs,
because like, you have to realize, because I'm very big on like personal privacy and that kind of stuff. Like, if you are even seen at a chemist like trying to get something tested, you're probably on a watch list. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like if people can buy kits and then just resell them for cash or whatever, like I guess that's like maybe not the safest way to do it in terms of like the greater good, but it will help save lives, I think. And just having them all available, if someone can get the drugs, they may as well know whether they're safe or not.
But then in that realm, what are your thoughts on safe injecting rooms?
This is a tough one because I know a lot of people, a lot of my mates even disagree with this highly. They're like, mate, why are we wasting taxpayer dollars on it?
Yeah.
And I actually walked past my first safe injecting room the other day. I think it was in Fitzroy or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a tough one. It's a really tough one. I actually don't know what I think about it. I kind of lean towards it's probably better that all the junkies go to one spot and they're just not like...
Do you think it should be an extermination center as well?
Mate, I don't want to be walking around like Flinders Street Station and seeing someone shoot up there. Like I'd rather them all just be chilling at the safe injecting room, doing that there, and then like being in the city when I'm trying to just like, you know, go anywhere I want.
I'll play devil's advocate. The fact that the government is investing money to ensure that these centers are operated by... not operated, but they're like kind of manned by, or they have paramedics around to ensure that these people do this safely, is because we're talking at the level of drugs that it's life ruining.
Yeah.
And we're giving these people a safe place to do this through the money that we pay in taxes.
It's a really tough one because they have found a way to get the drug. I don't know how the fuck to get heroin.
I could not begin to tell you that.
Like they have somehow found a way to get through all like the legal channels, and they're not doing it legally, but like getting through all like the red tape and finding a dealer and someone who's like smuggled it in. They've gone through all of that to get it. The average person has no clue how they've gotten it. I doubt police even know. Police are as incompetent as... No, I'm just kidding, mate. But yeah, like they've gotten it. Like, how are we supposed to stop that? We don't even know where it's coming from.
But that's a perfect opportunity. They're all in the one place.
Yeah, but like...
literally just follow one of these cunts around. If you're a police officer, just literally survey this one dude.
I'm not against that, honestly.
Out, you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy to me that they're getting this fully illicit substance.
Yeah.
That like...
No, fair. No, I agree.
What is it, like code? They've got codes, right? It's like fucking... Like, there's the top of the top.
They should let them do it, have one last high, right? But then if they know they're going to get arrested, they're not going to go there. They're just going to do it on the streets.
But it's so...
I think, look, here's a tip for the police, right? Here's what I'm doing, right? If I become police commissioner tomorrow, like and I'm part of like the drug task force,
yeah.
Here's what I'm doing. Setting up like
say some crazy shit.
I'm setting up like 20 detectives in front of like every safe injecting room. I'm getting them to follow every junkie that walks out of there. Not for just like one day, for like a week. a month, right? I want to know every one of their moves. I want to see their dealers. I want to see everything. And then I pounce like a month later. So they don't even realize that it's from the safe injecting rooms that they're getting spotted. They're just like, oh no, I just got caught at Woolies.
That's a good plan.
Like I just got caught straight after my deal. Like I went to my dealer, so they have possession. The dealer has possession.
Yeah.
It's all like surveyed.
You know what's crazy? That the drug problem in that sense is big enough to have a need for a safe injecting room.
Yeah.
Like
That's actually crazy.
that's cooked. You know what I mean?
How are they getting it in?
How are they waltzing into this government establishment, shooting the fuck up, wigging out, and then leaving without any consequence?
That's why just make me police commissioner and I'll get it sorted, mate. No one will even realize.
Yeah,
I'll be like, dress up as a junkie. Go into the. I'll be like, all right, there will be
dress up as a junkie.
Yeah, there will be booths. Every second booth is a detective, and then they make friends with the guy in the booth next to them, and they leave together. They hang out. They become best mates.
And you reckon the Convo would go?
So hey, bro, what are you shooting up, you man?
Oh yeah, that's fucking me.
Hey, my dealer's selling some stuff cheap, man. You want to go? Oh, let's get out of here, man. So, my dealer just called me. He has none left. How about your dealer? You got any? I'm fiending.
I'm fucking fiending for it, mate.
Give him a ring, mate. Give him a ring.
Fuck. Do you have any sympathy for junkies?
A little bit. Like they're kind of in like a pretty messed up situation. Like I would feel bad. Like if my kid was a junkie, I'd be like, damn. Like they just, you're not my son anymore. Nah, but like some people just have addictive personalities. And like, so they might be around the wrong group of people and they might try it. Like you can try to teach someone to be strong-willed, but at the end of the day, sometimes it's just not in their nature. Like they're peer pressured into stuff and they can be a really great person. They just might like succumb to the peer pressure. They might try it once, combine that with an addictive personality and they're fucked.
Yeah. No, I never really thought about it like that.
So I have sympathy in that regard, but like regardless of that, surely you can come to the point where you realize like, oh, okay. I'm not in a good spot right now. I'm not doing too good, bruv.
It's not looking good, bruv. Big bad C. Yeah, but right. But do you reckon the government should have sympathy for them and do what they're doing for them and like, you know, let them kind of go to these safer rooms?
I don't know, man. I really don't know about the politics of safe injecting rooms.
Neither do I. I don't even know if they're used.
Yeah, neither.
Because like they haven't, but like
we should do a stakeout one day. Do a potty from a safe injecting room.
We should do
the detective thing.
Yeah, market research and then bring it to
the police. Will be like, mate, look at then we're certified snitches, so we can't do that.
Yeah,
we don't. Want
we're not going to do that.
But yeah, I think it needs to be. Drugs need to be more well researched.
Yeah, we can both fully agree on that. 100%.
You can't at the standpoint we don't know it. I know that I don't know enough to make an informed decision. If you made me prime minister right now, if you made me king of Australia, and I have full complete say over everything, I'm very conscious that drugs are getting through the border. We're trying to stop them. Yeah, it's still happening.
Yeah,
all these people are sourcing them from dealers and all these other people like that we have no clue how they're getting access to it. Like it's slipping through. It's just impossible to track that many parcels and all that kind of stuff. And I know that like the knowledge that we have on a lot of drugs is tiny or it's heavily biased research.
Yeah.
Right? Like companies are like lobbying or they're paying people to say that this is bad or this is bad. Like alcohol and tobacco companies, all that kind of stuff. So I think we just need to do research with no agenda, no bias.
A very neutral kind of standpoint of research.
It needs to be like a proper study where it examines the effects, the negatives, the positives, the level of addictiveness, having all like the right professionals around them to make sure, okay, if they do get like slightly addicted, we can wean them off of it, and
Yeah.
the people in the study, and we can like get them, to not be addicted anymore.
Yeah.
I think that's what needs to be done for like every drug, even the crazy ones, even the crazy ones, because then we'll know for sure. Like, okay,
we're not making this shit legal.
And like some stuff, like you barely even need to study, like fentanyl.
Yeah,
I don't think that should be legal. Like I know it's so super legal, but like that stuff is so potent. Like
it's fucked.
Even if it's in tablet form, like if they somehow do that, someone has two, like, how you have like a Panadol, right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I'll have an extra one because like this is a really bad headache. You have an extra fentanyl tablet, you're dead.
You're gone. Yeah. Fuck that.
So like the margin for error is way too high for the average person. So I don't think it should be done.
Yeah.
Right. But with a lot of other drugs with higher margins for error, they need to be researched. They need to be studied. They need to be like come up with like almost like a manual of like how do we deal with these situations, and then only then should we make laws about it.
I agree, man. 100%.
And that might even extend to stuff like tobacco and alcohol as well.
Yeah, 100%.
But like I mean, we've had hundreds of years of alcohol and tobacco and like.
Yeah, I don't think the standpoint on alcohol and tobacco is ever going to change.
Yeah, I think.
Well, it did change like for tobacco because
I think smoking's not going to be as common.
Yeah, I agree. I think vaping's the new thing.
And vaping's even bad.
Yeah, vaping's pretty bad.
Yeah, because they're just inhaling battery acid.
Yeah, battery acid. And isn't it just like water? You're just filling your lungs with water.
Yeah. Well, with vapes, it's like I'm pretty sure there's like some sort of like it's not even just water. There's like the flavoring as well. Look, this doesn't happen to everyone, but like there's a lot of cases where 15, 16-year-olds, even 18, 20-year-olds, probably more as well, but I haven't heard of those cases. But like younger people, 15 to 20, they're vaping, and because of like the flavoring, right? It's in vapor form and it goes in their lungs. It like I don't know exactly how it works, but I think it condenses in their lungs, the vapor, but it's not water.
Right.
Right. It's like whatever the flavoring chemical is, and it like causes their lungs to like eat itself from the inside.
Fuck.
So you actually see a lot of like, not a lot, but like you see a number of 15 to 20-year-olds who are vaping, especially the younger ones, because their lungs aren't as developed. They're vaping and their lungs are cooked. They can't walk up the stairs. They can't play sport. Like they can't run. Their lungs are like destroyed from vaping. So, yeah, I don't know what my point was with that. But like, yeah, vaping is not good either. But everyone does it.
Yeah,
and what's the margin for error with vaping? So I don't know the numbers.
Yeah, no, I agree. I 100% agree.
So
yeah, I hope that kind of answered your question.
Yeah. I think that drugs need to be researched, and then we can decide.
Yeah.
Cool.
I agree.
All right.
Thanks for watching the Skunk Tape podcast. Smell you in the next step.